All right. Dr. McDonald was unable to attend. He has a family matter that prevents him from attending, but will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, we are going to recess from our regular meeting, and we are going to go into our budget hearing. So if I can have a motion, do we need a motion? We do need a motion to recess. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have our 22-23 budget hearing. And in just a moment, we'll hear from Mrs. Hungerford. She'll walk us through that. Before we get to that, though, we have the annual meeting notice. If nobody has any questions or concerns on that, I would request that we dispense with the reading of the annual meeting notice.
Agreed.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we will turn this over to Mrs. Hungerford.
Thank you. So tonight is the public hearing on the budget. This is an opportunity for the public to come speak to the board and make comments related to the proposed budget for next year. This is the same presentation that you saw a few weeks ago when we presented to you the draft final budget. Nothing had changed from the time the board adopted it. So I'll move through it quickly. The presentation is available in board docs with tonight's meeting agenda if anybody wishes to review it, and we're going to have it put up under the budget section of the website as well. Yes, thank you. This slide reviews recent budget history for the district and shows the percentages that it's increased in recent years. The budget for next year that the public will be voting on May 17th is a 2.58% increase over this year's budget, or about $575,000. The tax levy is increasing to $7,025,000, which is a $169,000 increase over last year, or about 2.46%. We all hear about the 2% tax cap, but there are a number of calculations that go into the tax cap calculation. So sometimes the amount that you can levy is actually more or sometimes less than 2%. So the 2.46 keeps us within the tax cap calculation. Our projected revenues for next year are $22,286,338, and we've appropriated $580,000 of fund balance to help fund next year's budget, for a total budget of $22,866,338. Some other items that are significant in the budget is we're looking at a 3.11% increase on our health insurance plan. This will be the second year that we're going into the high deductible plan for the district. And we have seen a positive trend both in our high cost claims and our claims expense. So, given the health insurance environment, an increase of 3% is favorable compared to the mid-20s that we were looking at previously. In addition, we've completed phase 1 of our capital project, and we are projecting in next year's budget that we will begin to receive state aid on that portion of the project. It just requires our final cost reports to be filed by December 31st, which we don't anticipate any issues completing that. This slide shows the tax cap calculation. As I mentioned, there's a few different factors that go into it. We start with last year's tax levy. You then multiply it by a tax-based growth factor. That factor is set by New York State, and it's based on new development or new buildings within the school district. We add in our pilots receivable for the prior year and our capital exclusions, and then multiply it by the allowable levy growth factor, which for this year was 2%. Then deduct our pilots that we're anticipating receiving next year, and you'll see that the pilots this year were projected at $10,000. For next year, it's projected at $14,000, and that's because we're expecting our first payment for the solar pilot. And then we deduct the exclusions, the exclusions for 22-23, bringing us to a tax levy limit of $7,025,204. This slide will show you with the proposed increase in the tax levy what the impact is on various values of property. So, for example, the first column, if you had a property valued at $100,000, this year your taxes were approximately $1,219, and with the proposed budget and tax levy for next year, it would be $1,249, or an increase of approximately $30. And again, it just shows across the slide at different property values. We had talked previously about a significant tax exemption that is going to be going on the tax rolls for next year, which will have an additional impact besides the levy increase on individuals' taxes. And so while a property valued at $100,000 can expect a tax bill going up 30, with the impact of this tax exemption, it'll actually go up more like 40. So part of it is from the tax levy increase, and part of it is from this property becoming tax exempt. This slide, a major portion of our funding for the district comes in the form of state aid. This slide compares state aid that we budgeted for this year compared with state aid that we're budgeting for next year. So this year, our budget for state aid was just over $14,300,000, and next year we're just a little shy of $15 million. The significant areas that we're seeing state aid increase are one, building aid, because we're going to start to get aid on our new project. And also we see an increase in BOCES aid. Our BOCES aid factor increased slightly, and we're also have shifted some services to BOCES. So overall, state aid is increasing 4.4% from this year's budget. This slide looks at what categories our expenditures are in. New York State sets out a chart of accounts, so all school districts account for their expenses similarly. So everything that ends in a .1 is a personal service or wages to employees. .2 is equipment purchases. .4 is contractual. This is things like materials and supplies, or individuals that we hire to do things like maybe maintain the elevator, or provide us fuel oil or natural gas, electricity, those sorts of things. .49 is BOCES. .8 is employee benefits. And then we have debt service and our capital outlay project. So you'll see personal services is increasing $277,000. The equipment budget is down $55,000. The largest piece of equipment that's included in there for next year is a pickup truck for the facilities department. Our contractual expenses are reduced slightly. Our BOCES budget is increased to $194,000. The benefit budget is staying fairly flat, and our debt service is increasing $180,000. And as you may recall, when we talked about the capital project, we talked about it not providing a tax. While the expense is increasing, it's not having an impact on taxes, because as I mentioned earlier, our building aid is increasing $193,000 as a result of next year's budget, but the expense is only increasing $180,000, so those two are offsetting each other. We're maintaining all the current programs in next year's budget. We're continuing to do another $100,000 capital outlay project, looking at replacing some more flooring in classrooms to remove asbestos-containing flooring and put in new flooring. As I mentioned, we're looking to fund a new facilities truck, and this will actually replace 2 older trucks that the department has. We're renewing our health insurance plan at a 3.11% increase, and we're decreasing some BOCES services and returning those functions to the school district, primarily in the business office.
Nice.
Again, the budget vote is on May 17th from 12 to 9 at the bus garage. I've not received any questions or comments related to the budget. Certainly, if folks have questions, they can reach out to me either via email or call me at the school, and I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
No, that's, the budget, as she puts it out to us, couldn't be more plain.
Yep.
And I'm so happy with the way you do it, make it as funny, because I understand it.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice.
It's funny, you get so in depth in it, and I remember, I think this might have been the first year I was here, Graydon said, well, could you show the impact on the project? And I'm always up here, and so it's absolutely correct that that's what how people relate to it. So I was
Right.
If there's other suggestions, certainly I'll incorporate them in the future as well.
The debt service line, I appreciate you bringing that up, because with the implications of a capital project, you're showing $13,000 in the good for the district based on the revenues received from state aid for the funding, versus what the expenses are. So we appreciate that breakdown, because it makes sense.
Very good.
Yep.
And I like your breakdown of the Upland Center, what it does when something comes off the tax rolls as a tax exempt property, how it affects the rest of the taxpayers, with the $10 increase. So per parcel, if it's 100,000 assessed value. So yeah, that whole breakdown is very helpful. Very helpful. So again, the vote, May 17th from noon to 9 at the school bus garage. And to qualify to vote, you have to be 18 years of age or older, a citizen of the United States, and a resident of the district for 30 days or more. And we do have 3 seats that will be up for election, a 3-year term presently held by Kevin Charles, a 3-year term presently held by Alan Bedine, and then the 3-year term that was vacated by Miranda Grossman, I am so sorry, Miranda McGrossman, presently held by Marilyn Lewis. We thank you. So we have now public comment. There's nobody here, so we will move along. And again, if anybody does have any questions on the budget, please email the BOE at waltoncsd.org or call the district clerk at 607-865-4116, extension 6130. All right, now we need a motion to return to the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The first thing I want to do is thank all of our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Day. That is today. And even our former teachers. Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes from April 20th as submitted?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Carried. And since there's no public here, I'm going to go over to discussion items. Dr. McDonald has actually, this was in our Friday letter as
Friday
well,
letter.
right?
Yep.
So he has moved on, and I should say the district has moved on to hashtag We're Walton. If you remember, it was hashtag Walton Evolving, and he feels that Walton has evolved. And, it has been good for the district. The former hashtag Walton Evolving, but the current one now shows we have overcome adversity in several forms, but now we're on the other side of that. It's time to move beyond evolving and show who we are. Who are we? The reality is the definition isn't easy, but we've shown when we come together, great things can happen. So hashtag We Are Walton. And if you just look at our website, and I'm sure it's out there on Facebook, all the good and positive things that are being displayed on there are amazing. We have a lot of students that have accomplished things, staff members that have accomplished wonderful things, so please visit that. We have a pre-meeting visit in June 7th at 5 p.m. and June 21st at 5:15. So you can mark your calendars for 5 and 5:15. And I want to thank Marilyn, like I said before, for filling in for us and helping us out in a time of need. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your dedication to the district and our students.
Well, it's
Thank you.
been definitely a growing experience for me, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And it's been a pleasure to work with a board that is as conscientious of the needs of our district as this board has been.
Well, thank you. We're gonna miss you having sit around the table. You know he's coming
I can always come
Wave
sit
to us.
there, yeah.
Keep in mind, there are 2 spots open.
Yep. Right, 2 spots.
I know how to spell your name.
Thanks, Al. I know how to spell yours too.
All right, are there any correspondence?
No, not at this time.
All right, and any additions to the agenda?
We do not have any additions, but I would draw your attention to item 9A. It was slightly revised today to include the June 7th board meeting date rather than effective immediately.
Okay. All right, so for the consent agenda, we have a resignation of Catherine Birch.
That's revised.
Do I not have the right one?
No, you do. Originally, she was resigning as of August 31st.
Oh,
and she
yes, I'm
since
sorry.
revised it.
I skipped right over,
Mhm.
yes, a revised resignation, sorry. And that will be effective as of May 13th.
Right, that's her last day of work.
Okay.
Correct.
And then we have the emergency appointment, and that supersedes the approval from the March 15th. That is for the High School Musical.
Correct. The rate of
And-
pay is changed.
Right, and then we have a request for an unpaid leave of absence, and that's Deborah Cannon, and she had a couple of days on there. Personal appointments, that's gonna be, personnel appointments, Elizabeth Core, long-term substitute teacher.
Did you see Cassandra Latourette? It might be
And-
cut off. Cassandra Latourette.
Oh, Cassandra Latourette, custodial, substitute custodial worker, yes.
Mhm.
Skipped right over her. And then we have, I gotta make sure I'm going in order here, sorry. Amanda Bauer, and this is a probationary appointment
This is extending her probationary period, 1 year.
from September 1,
Mhm.
22 to September 1 of 23.
Correct.
All right, and I believe that is, I've got them all. So do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, and then we, to rescind the multi-jurisdictional agreement. And this is to do with these solar pilots and any future solar pilots entered on or after June 7th. Does anybody have any questions on that? If not, do we have a motion to rescind that?
So,
From-
just for clarity, this allows us to negotiate our own pilot agreements. So if a solar farm decides to come into the district, they have the obligation to present to all the taxing municipalities. This gives us the ability to reach out to them and create a pilot rather than being a group, but it also doesn't limit us, so we can go into the municipalities as well?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
And that was originally agreed to on May 1st of 2018, and that's what, that's the one that we're actually rescinding to provide us with that availability.
And that basically, because that limited us to 25% of an agreement, when actually as a taxing entity, we're higher than that?
Well, we can negotiate our own percentage.
Right.
So currently, right now, I believe it's 50, 25, and 25. So 50 for the town, 25 for the school district, and 25 for the county, I think it was. Is it the village? Okay, I was skipping somebody, so 50, 25, and 25, and the school was one of the 25%. This will allow us to negotiate our own amount, not be stuck to that 25% of the overall.
I think what we're asking for you too is, a lot of times pilots are shared based on the proportion of tax rate of the
Right.
municipalities, and our
It's much
tax rate
higher.
is higher.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when I get
we're
my
usually
tax
more
bills-
like 40% on other pilots.
Right. So when I'm looking at my tax bills, my school portion is the highest portion. That's why I was wondering why. And then it makes sense that we should be above 25% and if they're gonna push solar in this area, why would a school district go backwards in its ability to generate revenue and put that on all the other taxpayers? When you have an industry potentially coming in, we should at least be at the same rate as what we're taxing now, otherwise our taxpayers are going backwards. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
I would move that.
Along this, it's kind of along the same lines with the host community agreement, although a pilot gets notification amongst all the taxing entities, where a host community agreement does not. Correct on that? So the Upland Center being an exempt parcel now, they entered into an agreement with the township, but the school district was not part of that agreement. So we're a pilot, we would get notification, and then we would have the opportunity to negotiate for a pilot agreement.
With New York State and the federal government's push to have green energy, rural areas are gonna be exploited, in my opinion, as far as we have the available land, therefore they're gonna be pushing solar farms, things like that in these areas. We have to be at least, with all the land acquisition that happens in the New York City watershed and the tax base that gets stripped away from us year after year after year, we have to at least try to find a way to keep pace so our taxpayers don't have to look at the solar farms and front the burden of the taxes at a higher rate. So I'm 100%, I would definitely move this if you guys want to consider it.
Okay. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you. All right, now the next one, that's a personnel approval. This is for a fully funded grant through New York State Department of Health. And this is for additional duties that were performed by our health office, our nurses and staff, particularly our RN and LPN for the testing guidelines that they had to follow. So do we have a motion to approve those stipends?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then we have the personnel appointment of William Meredith for elementary teacher.
Elementary.
Thank you. Starting to lose it.
Who's previously tenured, where was she before? Do you know?
I want to say Cherry Valley?
I was either going to say Shenango Valley or Cherry Valley, yeah. Yeah. So he's coming back to Walton. So I don't think
It's
he's,
up in the Albany area.
okay. So do we have a motion to approve that appointment?
Yes.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we do not have, we have the supervisors' reports. I
Mhm.
want to say remarks. Are there any questions on any of that?
The only question I had is, I noticed on Mr. Jackson's report that he talked about surplusing the tables. Is that on a website someplace in case people were interested in?
They will get posted through BOCES does the service for us, and it's publicsurplus.com
Okay.
is where they will get posted. If anybody's, in the past, when some stuff has gotten surplus, employees or others have inquired about that. If someone's interested and they want to contact me, I can give them the information about the website and let them know when it's posted as well.
Okay.
So publicsurplus.com? That's what I'm sorry, Meg, I don't mean to.
Yeah, let me, yes.
There's still probably some life,
Oh,
useful
yeah,
life left in
definitely.
them. They were nice tables, so if anybody in the public would have a use for them.
Yeah, and I know a lot of other places put their things on Auctions International. You can go on that website and see vehicles, school surplus tables, chairs, kitchen, so they're out there, but.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's municipid.com.
Oh, okay, yep.
Municipid.com, I apologize. Public surplus is another one that some municipalities use, but the one that BOCES works with is municipid.
Municipid.com, wonderful.
I'm glad I checked.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions or comments on that, we will, there is a need to go into executive session, a matter relating to the future employment of a particular persons and a student matter. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I don't believe there will be action taken after the meeting, so do we have a motion to adjourn following executive session?
I make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right.
Good filling for Paul, Merrill.
The last hurrah, Graydon.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Meg.